What's up, everyone? It's Tech Trooper 64, and today is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the time of the hour. This is my review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Nintendo Switch. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild seems endless in its vast landscape, with areas in the game with either blistering heats or chilling weather that makes the game the most challenging game I've played since Dark Souls 3. Despite its overcoming technical flaws, the game is still truly a game worth playing. So, let's get into the story details. Breath of the Wild has one of the most compelling stories that I've seen in a Zelda game for a very long time. The game tells the story of Link waking up 100 years after the Great Calamity Ganon ruined Hyrule. The game makes you feel like everybody that you met, or at least Link met those years ago, and you know them on a personal level. For example, the emotion that's demonstrated between certain characters, like the Prince of the Zora, and Zelda and Link, have the biggest chemistry in the entire game. Those are the kind of relationships that you look for in a game that has story-heavy content. And overall, it's almost amazing how great it is in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. As the first time in the series being fully voice acted, Breath of the Wild does nothing but continue to amuse me in its amazingness and its storytelling. So, let's get into the gameplay. The gameplay of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild seems flawless on paper, but doesn't necessarily perform well on practice, at least not on Nintendo Switch. While playing on Nintendo Switch at home, you're not going to be playing very well. The game has a lot of frequent frame rate drops, but let's not alarm too much. The frame rate drops aren't something that's like 20 frames or even 15 frames a second. It's around maybe the 24 to 26 frames a second, and sometimes when the game gets really bad, it gets to 22 frames a second. However, it's still pretty playable, it's just they are noticeable, and the fact that it detracts me from the experience is kind of frustrating in that regard. And as of this video being posted, which is supposed to be March 21st, it looks like Nintendo still hasn't fixed this issue, and I hope that this is something that they can fix in the future. Otherwise, however, playing Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch on the go is almost perfectly flawless. Now, you will notice that little stutter in the frame rate down to 28 frames a second, but for a game that's working for 30 frames a second, that little drop that you'll notice on the go is almost not noticeable at all. In the last 7 years of gaming, Breath of the Wild is truly the first game in a long time that I've sunk in at least over 100 hours into. It adds also the added bonus of taking Zelda with you on the go on Nintendo Switch is really, really amazing and gratifying. The fact that if I'm in a rush and I need to catch the bus, I can grab my Switch and just go on out there, and it's perfect. The gameplay is beautiful on Breath of the Wild, and I can't help but recommend the on-the-go gameplay of it. But playing at home is a little bit frustrating because of those frame rate drops, but it is still something that is worth noting, but it wouldn't really detract you from the story experience. But in gameplay, oh yes it will. But in the last 7 years, the last game that was truly gratifying was Skyrim, that made me delve so much hours into it. But get this, Breath of the Wild has over 100 shrines that includes a puzzle or a challenge of some sort, and most of them do include a test of strength where you have to go against a mini guardian. But in short, Breath of the Wild's shrines have a lot of puzzles that you have to face, but here's the best part about the puzzles. There is a certain way to conquer the puzzles, but these puzzles have at least 5 different ways that you can go ahead and solve them. If you think that you can use magnesis on a certain puzzle and it works, it can make it work. If you have bombs and you think you can click a switch without doing some sort of other contraption, that works as well. Breath of the Wild gives you so many options with how you can tackle some objectives. For example, one thing I like to use a lot is when there's an enemy camp full of bokoblins or lizalfos or whatever the enemy is, there is at least 4 different ways that you can approach these enemies and how you can take them out. You can use the magnesis and crush them with a nearby object, or you can go full in guns a-blazing and attack them head on. Overall, Breath of the Wild is beautiful and stunning in the way that it plays. The whole stereotype that Nintendo games are holding your hand too much throughout the entire experience is thrown out the window with Breath of the Wild. Now, yes, when you first start up the game, you're in this small plateau area that you can explore, but you'll slowly start to realize that the more areas you explore, the more chance you have of dying in one shot. Now, let's talk about my final verdict on the game. In short, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a stunning, amazing experience that answers the age old question for all gamers, which is what game can allow you to do whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want, and it can still be a challenging game at the same time. The game is fun, very endearing, an overall great experience, and for anybody who's curious or on the fence about the game, I have to recommend it to anybody who enjoys games that allow you to sink at least 300 to 200 hours into it and still have so much left to do. Despite all the good about Breath of the Wild, the one thing I really have to point out is the frame rate drops are extremely noticeable. And the thing is, the drops are so bad at home that it almost gets annoying. You can't set off a bomb or tackle enemies without you experiencing it or seeing it happen. Overall, the game is great, and playing it at home on your TV is frustrating because of the drops, but on the go is just stunning. That's why I'm giving Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a 9 out of 10. For more reviews, updates, and game coverage on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or on Nintendo Switch, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of my review. And be sure to tune in and subscribe to my channel for the review of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Wii U. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.